we roll. I said we roll the dance. In a brand new pattern and a dancehall style we roll. Make it a date and don't be late. Okie dokie. Let's. Very interesting philosophical question, debate that I've been having in my head for the last couple of days. In fact, it started over on another channel, Grow Photography, which is a group of street photographers. Is it Carmine Grow? Big up Carmine Grow. It's a very good channel. I've been having some debates over there. Different street photographers have come together and are questioning, looking at aspects of street photography. You know, I'm into my street photography. I've got my little M50 here, which allows me to get into places, you know, get into situations, flip on my silent shutter when I need. You know, it's nice and small. Still haven't got my M lens, but it's smallish. So, you know, there have been debates about aspects of street photography, and there was one specific question. Well, it wasn't even a question, it's something that came up in the course of talking about street photography, and that is street photography while being black. You know, it is something that you might not occur to most people, obviously, unless you're black or of color or whatever term you want to put onto it, you know. It is something that separates out, well, speaking from my perspective, it separates out my experience of street photography from the general world of street photography that I see. You know, I experience things that maybe the more general, wider society of street photographers do not know or appreciate. And it led me to think more deeply on this subject. You know, what is my role as a street photographer, as a black street photographer, as a street photographer of color? What is my purpose? Is it to join onto this world of street photography and just do the same thing everybody else is doing? Is it to get into a particular view that's been set out already and try to extend it and take it further? Or is it for me to bring my experiences, my unique experiences from the community and background where I'm coming from, and share with you all, so that you can get to understand me, I can get to understand you, we can share and, you know, grow photography. Grow photography. It's an interesting one. Just like the tunes that you see me singing in the beginning, right? A lot of the tunes that you see me singing to vibes, to get into the vibe. You know, that's why I do that. I'm from a sound system background. And in the black community, where I come from, music is so important. It is where the messages of life are carried. It is where our culture is really contained within the music. You can learn so much about the black community, the black experience, the people of color, just by listening to the music and analyzing the music, the words of the music. You may not know the songs, you may not know the tunes, but if I don't bring them and share them with you, who's going to do it? It's my role. It's part of my role. It's part of my purpose of being who I am. I am who I am. The Aisha, the multiple media manager man. I am a unique individual. And I have my own fingerprints and my own view of the world, which I want to share on my channel, The Life and Times of the Multiple Media Manager. So a street photographer of color, I think, should be one who shares his unique viewpoint with the world. It has its challenges. It has its problems. Yeah. As I was saying on Grow in a conversation at the bottom, I, as a black street photographer, I cannot linger on the road. I see these videos where people are out there, European street photographers are out there and they're on the street and they're, standing there and they're waiting for something to happen. They've got a nice background and they're waiting for somebody to walk through the scene. If I try that, I get problems. You may not know this. Those of us who go through this, we know this. I can't do that. Security will come. Police will come. People, I start to affect my surroundings. It's a horrible thing to have to bring to the forefront. But people get frightened. I see it on their faces. They see a black man with dreads, standing there with a camera in his hand. And it affects the environment, which is not what you want to do as a street photographer. You want to blend into the background. You want to be invisible. So you can try and hide it. I have a, here it is, my little sock, my head sock that I put over my hair. I try and blend in. Let's see if we can blend in a little bit with my surroundings. So I hide my dreads. Not just to hide. Sometimes I don't want to wear my dreads out. Sometimes I just want to keep them nice and neat, and don't want them flopping all over the place. So I've got my nice little hair sock. Sometimes the weather is really cold, and it affects my hair, so I protect it with my little windsock, my little hair sock. Yeah, there you go. So I can get away with certain things a little bit better. I have to hide myself to sometimes become invisible. And that is irrespective of whether I'm in the black community, whether I'm in the wider society. You would have thought, being in the black community, it would be a lot easier for me to blend in my own community, in my own background of people. But street photography is not really a thing, or not really seen as a thing. It's not really accepted as a thing within Afro-Caribbean community. People don't understand it. They'll look at you suspiciously. The moment you raise a camera in Brixton, where I come from, the moment you raise a camera to your eye, people, start looking at you. I've been approached by people who I'm not even pointing the camera at. What are you doing with that camera? People are so suspicious. Yeah. There's so much ducking and diving going on that people think you're working with the authorities. You're some kind of agent collecting information on them. We're a very suspicious community. I used to play in dances back in the day. I had a sound system and people wouldn't even dance if the light was on. We're so suspicious. People are watching us. So it's very difficult to do what I need to do as a street photographer, whether I'm in the black community, whether I'm in the white community. I have to develop my own way of doing things because I can't follow the examples that I've seen online. It just doesn't work for me. I can't loiter on the street. The other one that I was talking about on the in the comments on the Grow Photography thing is you can try to smile your way through, You can try to convince your target that you are not this threat. So smile. Hello. How you doing? And you can ask them nicely, would you mind if I took your picture? I'm just a street photographer and you invent something. I'm working on some project and you just fit the description of the project, and it'd be really great if I could capture your image for this project that I'm working on. Or you could just tell them I'm doing street photography, which I find doesn't really work for me. People get even more suspicious. So I'm working on this project. I'm working on this book, which is about the area and the people that inhabit this area. And I'm collecting images for the possibility of them being inserted into this photography project. That's one that has worked for me. But that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of energy. It's hard work to keep that up. Sometimes you just want to take a picture, and doing it that way, you can't be candid. So then your whole style has to change because people are afraid. Because you don't fit the description of the standard street photographer. Yeah? I'm not Vivian Meyer. I can't walk down the street and point my camera at somebody. Well, I can. But it takes a lot of work. I'm not Gary Winogrand. So I can't point my camera. Well, I can, but it takes a lot of work. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to share my experiences of being a street photographer, a black street photographer, and trying to consider and work out what is my purpose. Is my purpose as a black street photographer to extend the works of the traditional street photographer, or is it to bring my experiences, which are very different from most street photographers that I know, bring my experience and put that into what I'm presenting on my channel? And as far as I'm concerned, that is what I should be doing. We can learn a lot more about the world if we all do that. You have these radio stations. They all play the same music. The same small selection of music. And so much music is put out. But they all play the same little selection. What is the purpose then of those radio stations? Sure, not everyone's going to be interested in my experiences. So then I have to decide whether I'm going to go for numbers, whether I'm going to go for fame, or whether I'm going to go for teaching, sharing, growing, knowledge, and all that. It's all good. And we have to get through that as a black street photographer by overcoming all these hurdles. There's the racism from the targets. There's this black man with dreads with a camera. What does he want? The fear factor. I've had women who they see you with a camera and automatically they will frown. I mean, you could continue. You could take the photo and it would, it's still part of your experience. But it's a barrier that you have to get through. It's a barrier that I've had to learn to get through. There's the racism and prejudice of the audience as well as the target. Will my photographs be received in the same way as others? And then I have to work out, is that lack of reception from the audience, is it due to who I am? Is it because of my skin? Is it because of my background? Or is it just because my photos ain't any good? And I struggle with that sometimes. I share my thoughts and my feelings and my photography on this channel. I don't get a lot of feedback. I do get feedback, and I appreciate all the feedback that I do get. I appreciate all the love that I do get, because even if it's one person, it's important. You've made a connection. So I appreciate that. But at the same time, this is episode 83. And I'm still struggling to get images and information and what I'm presenting out. I'm still struggling. And that's hard. It's a hard place to be. Anyway, I don't want this one to be too long, although it's a big subject. It is a huge subject. Is my role as a black street photographer, or is it a street photographer who happens to be black? Is that who I am? That's something for me to come to terms with, for me to decide. Am I a street photographer who is black? Or am I a black street photographer? A black street photographer is one who is coming from a community which is separate or on the fringes of the wider community, who is coming with different cultures and ways of seeing things and sharing those with the world. That's a street photographer who is black. Gordon Parks, for example. Now, Gordon Parks wasn't a street photographer as such. Gordon Parks, who is my inspiration, number one, was a multiple media manager. Gordon Parks was a photographer, he was a filmmaker, he was a musician, he was an artist. To call Gordon Parks a photographer is an error. He's not a photographer. He's much more than that. There's nothing wrong with being just a photographer, but he wasn't just that. And that's why this channel is called Life and Times of a Multiple Media Manager. Because I do a lot more things than take pictures on the streets. Having said that, Gordon Parks managed to break through that barrier to where now his images of his community, if you look at them, the images of his community and the life and his background and his struggles shone through. So that's where I think I need to be as a multiple media manager. So that is what we're aiming for right here. I think I'll leave it there. There's so much more I can go through on this. This is probably going to be my most important video that I've ever put forward on my channel. It might not be understood, but as far as I'm concerned, this is what it is all about. We rule. We rule the dance. We rule. I shall rule the dance. With a brand new pattern and a dancehall style, we rule. Make it a date and don't be late. We rule. Say not to dread is not no bandolo. Say not to dread is not no bandolo. So step it up the ladder, make we step it up together. Select we step together like the bird I wanna feather. The sound them a London like it hot.